Alex's Caves is a mod made by the GOAT of Minecraft modding, Alexander Mobiles. And honestly, this mod has enough content for each biome to be its own dimension. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the closest thing Minecraft Underground has to Fallout, the Toxic Caves. So let's get to it. The Toxic Caves are massive underground wastelands that we can only assume come from ancient builders and their nuclear wars of long past. All that remains of this time period is a hostile, radioactive environment, home to hazards and monsters you couldn't even imagine. But other than monsters, the only life you'll find here are bats and these underweeds, which you can occasionally find sprouting from the floor. And of course, you can pick them up with you can't pick them up with shears. I just found this. I thought you could pick them. You can't. Moving on, most of the Toxic Caves are made up of rad rock, a variant of rock that has been irradiated from the toxic fumes that flow throughout this place. The rad rock can be crafted into many different variants, from rad rock stairs to rad rock slabs to rad rock bricks to rad rock walls to chiseled rad rock. Safe to say there is a lot of building blocks. And occasionally inside of the rad rock, you'll be able to find uranium ore, which can only be found in this biome for obvious reasons. Look at the place. Come on. Dividing the spaces are these huge open pits which are full of acid, a very dangerous liquid which corrodes the armor and the player whenever they get into it. So if I were you, I wouldn't take a dip. Though despite these characteristics, you can still get buckets of acid, which when combined with rad rock in a crafting table will get you acidic rad rock, which is kind of like a toxic version of magma blocks, and they have these really cool particles which drip from them. Though despite the nature of the acid, life still managed to find a way here, presenting the rad gill. These guys love to swim around the acid and even jump out of it sometimes. You can even get one in a bucket. Just look at that guy. He's so cute. It reminds me of that one fish from The Simpsons. If you fancy murdering these guys, you'll have to do it outside of acid, otherwise their drops will just burn. And you can either eat these guys raw or cooked, but either way, they have a chance to give you the irradiated effect, which I'm going to get onto very soon. In these acid pits, you'll commonly find geothermal vents, which are constantly spewing out toxic gas, which you can actually bottle up using a glass bottle, and you'll get a bottle of radon, which is a key crafting component in many of the stuff in this cave. Occasionally on your travels, you'll also find a sulfur stack, which will grow in height provided there's acidic rad rock dripping above, which is quite a cool mechanic to be fair. Breaking the crystals on the sulfur stack, you'll never guess, will give you sulfur, which is again another key component in a lot of the crafting recipes in this cave. Occasionally while you're exploring the cave, you may find corroded structures like so. These are the only remnants of whatever civilization used to live here. And as a bonus to you, they almost always have loot. Okay, that was embarrassing. We're gonna ignore that happened. They almost always have loot, from food exclusive to the caves, to cinder bricks, to hazmat chest plates. We might talk about that later. Ooh. However, be warned. Some of the loot is sometimes, obviously, radioactive. For example, uranium. Having these radioactive items in your inventory will give you the irradiated effect. This nasty effect will change your hearts to hazmats, and unfortunately for you, it will stop you from healing entirely. You see, my hearts are not going back. I'm on peaceful mode right now, as well as making you glow, which I guess some people might find cool. Don't go eating uranium, please. Higher levels of the irradiated effect will give you worse effects. For example, TNT's big brother will give you irradiated 3, which will begin to deal constant damage to you, making the effect a death sentence if you don't have the right means to deal with it. Lucky for you, the barrels that you got irradiated loot from will often contain a means for you to deal with the radiation. For example, slam. So let's say I take some lethal damage and I'm just slowly dying in a pit of acid, and I'm gonna, oh, gee, okay, like half my health is gone. So if I eat the spam now, I will regain health, even though the effect stops me from healing. Most of the food that you'll find in these structures will allow you to heal with the irradiated effect, which is a key component to exploring these caves because you're going to get irradiated a lot. In total, the 3 main foods that are going to help you are spelunkies, slam, and green soylent. Slam can be crafted with 2 sulfur, a raw pork chop, and bone meal, and then spelunkies can be crafted with sulfur and 2 sugar, which is actually how Twinkies are made in real life as well. But can you guys remember how I said TNT has a big brother? Allow me to introduce you to Nuke. I didn't make that name up on they are actually called Nuke. Oh, and nukes. Don't worry, guys. I'll just set it off right now, guys. I think it's best that I just show you how this thing actually works. So yeah, that's what nukes do. I'm glowing a significant amount more than I was last time. And like I said, that's because I've got irradiated 3, which means if I go into survival mode, I'm just going to start slowly dying. Just really slowly, and there's nothing I can do about it unless I've got the slam and stuff. And I've got irradiated 3 for 40 minutes. if you really want to ruin an SMP, just install Alex's caves and go to the nuclear kit. Just do it. I've done it. I've blown up houses with this thing. Be like me. But getting back on track, nuke leapers can be found spawning rarely throughout the toxic caves, but when they do, you're going to want to kill them ASAP, because as soon as they see you in survival mode, they will just slowly start Okay, that was kind of anticlimactic. I'll not kill it this time. As soon as they see you in survival mode, they will slowly start closing their head, and you'll never guess what's about to happen, guys. You will actually never guess. And did I mention that explosion will literally instantly kill you? Like, it goes through totems of undying, so you are not safe if that sound ever plays. And if you do manage to kill them, the nuke leapers will often drop a fissile core. Using 2 fissile cores, 2 uranium rods, which you can craft like this, 1 block of uranium, and 4 blocks of iron, you can craft a nuclear bomb. But moving away from nukes and nuke leapers, we have the Brainiac. This guy is a monstrous mutant, and he's an amalgamation of multiple zombies plus God knows what else. When in combat, they are fast and aggressive, and along with their godly physique, they also have a huge tongue which they'll use to hit targets from afar, or they'll also try and use their claw-like hand to just bite at you, which is just genuinely terrifying, to be honest. Usually when you encounter one of these guys, they'll have some sort of waste drum on their back, and when they're in combat, they will use it to spray acid on their enemies, or like a chug jug from Fortnite, and just heal up mid-fight. If you're in arm's length of one of these guys, he'll smash down their arms, dealing massive damage to you. That is like the 5th time I've died to one of them. And all of this guy's attacks have a chance to inflict the irradiated effect. If you somehow manage to win a fight with one of them, they'll drop a waste drum, and sometimes they will drop rotten flesh and a charred remnant, which is a mysterious new crafting component, which I will get onto later. Straight out of Fallout now, we've got the Gamma Roach, which is a huge, gigantic, radioactive cockroach. These huge creatures have a very unique way of attacking you, in which they'll only actually attack you if you have the irradiated effect, making them passive any other time. But as you can see, if I'm irradiated, these guys will come and attack me. No, don't do that. As you can see, due to them not being the strongest mob in the cave, these guys will actually go and pick up other hostile mobs and bring them to attack you. This trait of theirs makes them a constant threat if you don't use the correct protection from being irradiated. Always use protection. In Minecraft, when they're slain, they should drop toxic paste, which again is another key crafting component in a lot of the stuff in this cave. Finishing up with this cave's inhabitants, we have the Ray Cat. This Skelecate is an undead feline that is being kept alive by its irradiated bones. Although its green glow could tell you otherwise, this guy's actually the only passive mob in the caves, other than the Gamma Roaches, but they're not really passive. They're like kind of passive, but sometimes probably not, like most of the time not passive. And they don't need to feed because they're, you know, dead. However, their deadness will not stop them from accepting a radgill from you. If you feed them enough, you can tame one. Like most tamed creatures in the mod, it can be made to stay, follow, or wander. And though it won't help you in combat, it'll keep nuke leapers at bay. And one more thing, this guy will also occasionally absorb the irradiated effect that its owner has, allowing you to heal once more, which is actually incredibly useful because I haven't actually let on how much you get irradiated in this cave. Basically, everything will give you the effect. Now, let's get onto some utilities. Many of the resources I've mentioned in this cave can be combined. For example, using toxic paste, sulfur dust, iron ingots, and a bottle of radon, you can craft polymer plates. These polymer plates are key ingredients in many of the utilities you can craft here in the toxic caves. Starting off, hazmat armor. This armor makes it so the irradiated effect has less effect on you. For example, I can go for a nice swim in this acid and, you know, nothing's gonna happen. Look. Moving on, you can also use polymer plates to craft a remote detonator. This thing puts the safety first in griefing. By right-clicking a nuke with a remote detonator, you can bind it to that nuke. And if you get a safe distance away, you can watch the explosion from a really long distance away and basically take no damage. Using 4 polymer plates, you can craft hazmat block, which in my opinion are perfect for factory style builds. I mean, look at this. Does this not just scream do not cross? Next up, we've got one of my personal favorites. Using a fissile core, 4 polymer plates, and 2 uranium rods, you can craft a ray gun. And just look at this thing's effect. I'm sorry, that laser is just so cool to me. This bad boy will shoot out a laser of irradiation, which you'll never guess will irradiate anything in its path. Plus, if the laser lands on blocks, it'll leave this cool burn effect. And yet another nifty thing about this ray gun, it doesn't have durability. This thing has charge. Each ray gun has about 1,000 charge and uses uranium rods as fuel. As well as this, the ray gun has very low attack damage, but it attacks about 4 times as fast as any other weapon in the game. Using this pig as my test subject, you can see how fast it just gets through it, and also gives it the irradiated effect. Goodbye, piggy. Using 8 concrete of any color in a furnace formation in the crafting table will get you 16 cinder bricks. And as well as these guys being a really funny weapon to throw, you can use them to make the all-new cinder block block set. These guys look like a more defined, like, stone wall to me. I just really like the look of them. And you'll also find them in structures around the toxic caves. And if you just saw there, you can craft stairs, walls, slabs. Look at that. That could be a really cool wall or something. I don't... Guys, can you please compliment my building in the comments? The bottle of radon I mentioned earlier, along with glowstone, any color dye, and 4 of the radon bottles can be used to craft radon lamps. And of course, the color will correspond to the dye you used. But these things are just really cool to me. They even make my very own Rainbow Road. Alex's Caves, Rainbow Road confirmed. Moving on, the charred remnants dropped by Brainiacs have a couple of different uses. Starting off, using 1 uranium, 2 charred remnants, and 2 iron ingots, you can craft a nuclear siren. If given a redstone signal, this thing will start blaring. And I'm fairly sure you might have heard one of them through the video earlier. Let me just turn that thing off. Like I said, you can turn them on with a redstone signal, or if a nuke is going off in the area, or a nuke leap is going off in the area, it will turn on its own. Plus, to go along with it, using 5 glass, 1 bottle of radon, 1 redstone dust, and 2 iron ingots, you can craft a siren light. This thing works exactly the same way that the nuclear siren does, but instead of blaring out a noise, it just does this really cool light. Typically, you'd probably want them on top of each other. The charred remnants can also be used to craft nuclear furnace components. Using 1 blast furnace, 4 charred remnants, and 4 uranium, you can get 2 nuclear furnace components. Although to craft a nuclear furnace, you're gonna need 8 of them. And then boom, you've got a nuclear furnace. This furnace uses uranium rods as fuel and smelts things 5 times faster than the original furnace. 1 uranium rod will smelt 64 items. However, as you can see, as you smelt stuff, you'll start to get a buildup of unrefined waste. To get rid of this, you'll want metal barrels, which you can craft either using 8 iron ingots and a barrel, or 4 scrap metal and a barrel. As you can see, there is a slot in the nuclear furnace for the barrels, and these barrels will slowly get filled up, becoming waste drums. If you try and get rid of these things, they will simply blow up. Another way to do it is just store them in chests. Come on, guys. But allow me to show you what happens when you don't get rid of any of this stuff. There we go. It's in stage 3. It's shaking about. It's all really, really hot. I didn't know they added me to this game. Oh! Holy shit, that actually jump scared me. So as you can see, the unrefined waste is spilled everywhere, and it was a little mini nuclear explosion, and all my iron is on the floor. So yeah, if you don't empty out your furnace, it'll explode in a glorious nuclear fashion. And finally, just to go over it again, to craft a nuclear bomb, you're gonna need 4 iron blocks, 2 fissile cores, 2 uranium rods, and a block of uranium. Nuclear bomb! And when I tell you on any SMP, this block is like the equivalent of the blue shell in Mario Kart. It will ruin friendships. Maybe. Just maybe, these nukes are the reasons that the caves are there in the first place. But that's just a theory! A game theory! And cut! Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoy these videos, please do consider liking and subscribing. It's the best way to help out the channel. And hey, if you want to help us out a little more, becoming a channel member is also a great way to do so for only $3.99 a month. Thank you, and if this video takes ages to come out, Happy New Year. Roll the outro!